Recording in progress.
Thank you. All right, we'd like to welcome everyone to our West Haven City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 20th of 2024, and it's 6:01. My name's Mayor Rob Vanderwood, and I'll be conducting this meeting, and we'll open this meeting up tonight. We've got our opening exercises, and we want to thank everyone for being here, but we'll get started with our opening exercises and ceremonies. We'll start out with our Pledge of Allegiance with Councilmember Morse, and our prayer or moment of silence with Councilmember Saunders.
Please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come before Thee at this time and give thanks for the many blessings that we enjoy. We are so grateful for this beautiful area that we live in, for this building that we have to meet in, and we are grateful for those who serve the city and our country. We pray for a blessing to be with those in law enforcement, those who serve in the armed forces, and we pray for blessings of peace and safety for them and for the employees of the city. We are so grateful for their service to us as citizens, and pray for Thy guidance and for Thy inspiration and Thy wisdom in all that we do. And we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we appreciate that. Thank you for those opening ceremonies for Councilmember Morse and Councilmember Saunders. We'll move on to our item number 3 on our public presentation. This is for residents attending this meeting. Will be allotted 2 minutes to express a concern or ask a question about any issue that is not on the agenda. No action can or will be taken on any issues that are presented. Do we have anyone that would like to come forward at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward on to item number 4, our upcoming events. We have our Senior Lunch Bunch that'll be on March 27th of 2024 at 11:30 a.m. And I may need some assistance with that. If there's any council members that would like to volunteer and help with that, please get with me as soon as possible on that. I've got a conflict on that day. The Easter egg hunt would be for March 30th, and that'll be at 6 p.m.
No, Mayor, that should be at 9 a.m. Sorry. I just need a clarification.
I wondered if we changed the time on that. 9 a.m. That's a set
That I'm
time.
aware of.
Okay, thank you. And also we have our dumpster days, which is real popular on April 18th, and that's going to run consecutive for a few days on there for April 18th through the 20th. So we'll have more information out on our website for that as well. We have Arbor Day that's coming up on May 4th, and there'll be some participation within the city on some tree planting and some things that'll be going on that day. We have our Touch-A-Truck coming up on May 6th, and that will be at 5 p.m., starting at 5 p.m. and go till, I think, is it 8:30? 8? Somewhere in there?
Till we're done.
Till everybody's touched a truck, right? Okay.
Right.
But it's a great opportunity and lots of fun for the city. We have the Utah League of Cities and Towns. Our mid-year conference will be on April 17th through the 19th, and that will void us out for being here during that time for our council meeting. And then just on long-range planning, our Arts Festival will be on September 21st. So is there anything else that the council has for upcoming events? Okay. We'll move on to item number 5, our council updates. On there, does the council have any updates they'd like to share with the public?
So we got a couple of submissions. on the beautification committee for new committee members. So we were excited about that. We should be seeing those come before the city council and fairly soon, but I didn't get those in time for this meeting, but appreciate Jeff Reed and his work on reaching out to recruit. So we're excited about that, and hopefully we'll be seeing that soon.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Any other comments from the council? Anything from the city manager? I would like to maybe just let the public know that, and this is through our sheriff's department, Lieutenant Jeffries and their special, and I'm probably going to mess it up a little bit, not our crimes unit. Is it crimes unit?
Street crimes.
Street crimes, but it was the drug enforcement side. We've had some activities in West Haven that was taken care of pretty quickly, even though it took some time to get it taken care of. But we appreciate our sheriff's department, our contract that we have with them, that they've eliminated some problems in our city that was potential. And I just wanted the council to know that, yeah, we really do appreciate you guys and the work you do out there. And so please let them know. And is it the drug enforcement group or is it street crimes? That was the street crimes. Okay. Yeah, and if we don't get a chance to, please let them know that West Haven recognizes them, and we appreciate them very much for that. Anything else from the council on updates? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, action on the consent agenda. Item A was our city council minutes for the meeting held on March 6th of 2024. We also have, I think that's it. That's all we have. Once I turn the page, there's nothing else. So that's it for that. Is there any questions on those minutes or concerns? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, the city council meeting minutes held on March 6, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Morris?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
And Councilmember Dixon? You're still on mute.
She's doing the camera button instead of the mic.
Wrong
Oh
button.
my gosh, that's so scary. Okay, I'm not touching any more buttons.
Thank you. So motion carries for our consent agenda. Thank you, council, for that. We'll move on to item 7, action on planning commission meeting recommendations. Item A is our final subdivision approval for Salt Point West subdivision, approximately 4,000 south and 3,500 west. I think this is with McKenna Christensen, if she's here. There she is. Want to come up, just state your name and address, please, for the record?
Yes, McKenna Christensen, address is 610 North, 800 West, Centerville, Utah. We did discuss this item last week, or 2 weeks ago, but this plat the purpose of it is to carve off a parcel that we can sell to Mountain America Credit Union. They want to build a branch there. They're hoping to start construction as soon as possible, so hoping to get this plat pushed through. If there's any additional questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Does the council have any questions for McKenna?
I have none.
Okay. Well, I'm ready for a motion then.
I will make a motion to give final subdivision approval to Salt Point West subdivision, approximately 4,000 south and 3,500 west.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this particular item? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries for that. Thank you for being here. We'll look forward to that as part of our commercial area in West Haven. We appreciate it. Item B on here is our action on ordinance 08-2024, the second amendment to the Staker Farms Master Development Agreement. Is that something? There we are. Just state your name and address, Bryce.
Bryce Thurgood, Perry, Utah.
Okay. Do we have
Would you,
anyone else that wanted to address this, or you want?
I can address it real quick because I've worked closely with them regarding this. Several months back, it had been brought up that having the developer do an amendment so that it actually addresses what has been installed in the park, because the MDA and the First Amendment really don't. It just says like trees. It says grass. It doesn't really delineate what is being put into the park. And so that's the major purpose here is, if you look at the exhibit, it delineates how many trees, what type of trees, the size of caliper of trees that have been installed. It delineates the type of grass. It also shows the drain field that they ended up installing. And, you know, those items. Also, I know that Mayor, you had a question regarding, they were supposed to spend $80,000 according to the MDA. Bryce can address that as to what a list of costs. There's also, I know, Mayor, you had a question regarding, there's been some flooding. Brock has been looking into that, and what the issue is that there is a drainage issue on the county property in the slough that he is trying to work with the county. The slough's basically not draining downstream and it's backing up, and that's where we're having the issue. And it's outside of this property line, so he's been trying to get a hold of the county and working through to try to get that part fixed. But I think that, you know, and some of the other things that they had that we just needed to make so that it was more accurate, like the thing about the park impact fees that they would be paid when we take possession of the park. And we were hoping to have that done on or before May 30th of this year, but they're still trying to see what, hopefully what's going to happen with everything. And they are currently in the process of doing another round of drill seeding in the thin areas. Brock met with Nate to go over the plans, and they're preparing to do some mowing so that they can do that another round of drill seeding in the areas that Brock did a walk through the park and pinpointed those areas. So that's just an update with that, and then I'll turn it over to Bryce and let him talk about like the kind of the rundown of the amounts that they've spent for the park.
Okay, thank you. We've been, obviously, as you guys know, we've been working on this park for quite a few years. It kind of went south, was it 2 years ago, when they shut off the water, and that caused us a lot of fits with our seed. Not that we had, it wasn't seed, but it was. I've just lost.
Was it the hydroseed?
Hydroseed, sorry, thank you. Yes, we hydroseeded. In any way, the water, we weren't able to water it enough, and that's when we started having problems. But to date, we've invested, like, it's well over $1 million in costs on infrastructure between the sprinklers, the parking lot, the trail, the trees, the playground, the bathrooms, the bridge, over to the subdivision. You know, we've invested a lot of money, and we haven't been here pushing the issue to have the city, you know, take it. We've been working closely with Brock for the last couple of years, you know, to make sure that, you know, we're going in the right direction, that you know, that they're happy with what we're doing. And I don't know if anybody's had a chance to drive by, and you know, actually today they've just down there as we speak, just finishing the last bit of mowing, but it's starting to look really, really good. We're pretty pleased with it, and like she said, here in the next couple of weeks, we're just gonna go through and hit the thin areas one more time with our seeding. We're going to fertilize it. We've had our guys go down and pull all the weeds. All the trees got replaced. So we're hoping that, here in the next month or so, we can, do another walkthrough with, the city, Brock, and make sure that there's no, anything else that the city would like us to do. But, at this point, I mean, we're here for a long time with the subdivision. And so we want to, and we want to do other projects in the city one day. We don't want the city council to have a bad taste in their mouth with what we've done. So we want to get it acceptable to the city and then, make the handoff. So.
Okay. I think that's fair. I drive by there quite regularly, and I noticed them out there yesterday mowing with the green John Deere, I guess, that tractor. Is that you guys?
Well, so they raked it with the little John Deere tractor, but they're actually over there mowing it with a regular
Gotcha.
zero-turn mower. So he's actually collecting. When they raked it, that kind of pulled up some of the the dead grass, and so now he's mowing it, catching the grass, putting it in his trailer, and hauling it off. So he spent, I think, part of the day yesterday and today doing that. So
And they turn the water on over there. I don't know when that water's coming on. It'll probably be in April 15th, won't it?
yeah, that's usually when it comes on. So
With your seeding, I guess you're just relying on some of that natural water for a while, and then
yes, well, that's kind of what we want to kind of watch. That we know that there's a storm coming this week, and we kind of want to watch it. And if we have to push it off until around the 8th or 9th, just to make sure that we're good when they turn the irrigation on. So.
okay. All right. Does the council have any other questions on here? Okay. Nothing from the council? Okay. Well, we've got it set up on here for action on the ordinance on here. So if you don't have any questions on here, we can move forward with that action.
Well, I guess maybe I want to know more specifically. The mayor wanted to know what you spent $80,000 on.
Like throughout the whole park?
No, because previously.
Oh, the amendment. Yes. So
Correct.
yes. So we spent $29,165 on an upgraded playground that the city they wanted. We originally came in with a certain size. They wanted a bigger one, so we upgraded that. We upgraded the parking lot for a little over $20,000. That came to roughly $50,000. I've spent a few hours today looking for what we've, on the scoreboards and one other thing. And I tried calling Brock. I wasn't able to get a hold of Brock. I was hoping he could maybe help me out with that. But there's maybe a little bit of a delta there that, that we haven't, if we haven't spent all that, then yes, I mean, that we, if there's, I think there might be $10,000 or $12,000 that we haven't quite spent it all. And so we can either spend that or give that back to the city, and the city can spend it somewhere else.
Yeah, I think and I appreciate that. I think that we wanted to, maybe do that final walkthrough because the grass is fairly still sparse, and that was a tough piece of ground to start with because even the previous landowner knew that ground had difficulties in certain areas and recommended, when I was talking to him back when it was flooding, from before, that that ground is difficult ground to deal with, but
Yeah.
The drains probably will help. And
We spent $100,000 just on that drain system, and it comes, as you can see on the map, it comes all the way up through the park, And so, we consulted with Weber County,
And Utah State.
Utah State, yeah, thank you. And, you know, on the best plan of action to do, and that's, you know, we came up with that, and they consulted with them on the grass, you know, and Brock was a part of that, so, you know, we included the city throughout that process.
Okay. All right. Well, I think again, you know, we'll have to see how everything goes along just to make sure we got a really, because that was the
Sure.
MDA, right? To make sure we had a good usable park at the end.
Sure.
I know
Yep.
there's been a lot of challenges in that, but
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we have what.
And again, we haven't pushed the issue. We'd like to get it turned over, but, you know, we've spent a lot of money just over the last couple of years just on maintenance, you know, trying to keep things, you know, going. And so, yeah, we would like to get to the point where we could turn it over to the city. I mean, there's already residents using it, but have it be an official handoff to the city, and the city be, you know, happy about it. So,
Yeah, agreed. I agree. All right, I appreciate it. So again, anything else from the council? Okay. So we have action on this ordinance, so I guess I'm ready for a motion on that.
I'll move to approve action on ordinance 08-2024, Second Amendment to the Staker Farm Master Development Agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this particular item? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one as well. Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
and Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So,
hopefully around the 1st of May, we could do a preliminary walkthrough and see where we're at. And
sounds great.
okay,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you
Bryce.
guys.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, we'll move on to our next item on here, item 8, action on resolution 08-2024 for extending a lease agreement between the West Haven City and Jill Coombs for a property located at 3325 West, 4000 South. There she is.
Good evening.
Yeah, just state your name and address for the
Yeah,
record.
Jill Coombs, 4720 South, 5050 West in West Haven.
Okay, thank you. So you'd like an extension?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, we would love an extension on that leased property here on 4000 South.
I feel like we just did this.
I know. every
Doesn't
year
it feel like we were just here doing this?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Those horses, they just keep eating.
They do keep eating. That's the great and the hard thing, right?
They do. Does anyone have any questions on this lease agreement or any concerns? Okay. How's things going for you over there? Everything working okay?
Yep, everything's been great. We haven't had any issues. We keep the padlocks on the gate. We're going to do more weed maintenance again here in a week or so. So it's been going great for us.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I like seeing them there every time I drive by, and I drive by often, so.
Good. They're very nice horses too.
Are they?
Yeah, you can stop and say hello.
Okay.
We don't lease the mean horses or problem horses. So.
Keep the
That's
mean
good.
ones out, huh?
And for the purpose of the public, this is a piece of property that West Haven owns on 4000. It's a busy street, and we felt like it was a good idea to lease this property out at this time, for a reasonable amount to make sure that we keep the weeds under control, and just, it's a help to the community as well if we can do things like that on occasion. So hopefully it's working out good for you guys as well. Or you probably wouldn't be here again, right?
Yeah,
So it's all
definitely.
good.
We're here, so.
Anyway, thank you again. I'm ready for a motion on this one.
I would move to approve resolution 08-2024, extending lease agreement between West Haven City and Jill Coombs for property located at 3325 West, 400 South.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You're good to go.
Thank you
So
very
thank you.
much.
See you in
Appreciate it.
12 months, I'm sure.
12 months.
All right, we'll move on to the next item, item 9, action on stormwater impact fee adjustment. This is Mr. Allen, Lawrence Allen, at 2845 South, 2700 West.
Testing. Sorry, last time I didn't have the height adjusted correctly and want to stand up a little straighter this time.
Just for the record, Mr. Allen, would you just repeat that's your name and your address, please? For
Yes, my name is Lawrence Allen. I actually reside in Hooper. This is in regard to a building permit we have for a lot that we own in West Haven. The address, thank you, 2845 South, 2700 West.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here again to point out the shortcomings of City Ordinance number 35-2022, the stormwater impact fee. Hopefully more clearly and succinctly than last time. When I appeared here in January, I was here to appeal to your sense of reason, fairness, and common sense. Having gotten nowhere, I'm here again today with a slightly different twist on this. Before we get started into this, I'd like to just know if anybody on the council sees any problem or issue with this ordinance as it currently stands.
Back up just a little bit from the mic.
I'm-
It might not.
Is this better?
Quite as much. Yeah, that's probably.
I'm sorry, thank you.
You're fine.
So just a show of hands is if you could raise your hand or something to indicate if you have observed or consider any issue or problem with the ordinance as it currently stands. Anybody?
I don't know if the council has to respond to that.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Okay.
So,
You can't twist your arm on that. In my emailed letter of February 15th, I mentioned the Nolan-Dolan test. Have you had a chance to review those cases as it might apply? Has anybody looked at those cases, or at least what I wrote in the letter about those cases?
I think we've reviewed what was in the packet on there for your particular request. So.
Okay. For the record, specifically, I cite the following two cases: Nolan versus California Coastal Commission, 483 U.S. 825 in the year 1987, and Dolan versus City of Tigard, 512 U.S. 687 in the year of 1994. Together, these findings by the Supreme Court of the United States form the basis of what is now known as the Nolan-Dolan tests. Two tests that must be met to ensure the legality of an impact fee. One, this is the Nolan part, that there must be a rational nexus between the imposition of the fee and the achievement of a legitimate public purpose, usually the need for new infrastructure to serve the development. And two, and this is the Dolan part, the amount of the fee must be roughly proportionate to the impact of the proposed development. Now I'm going to ask a series of questions. I'd like to get your individual answers if you're willing to proffer them. I assume we all agree that the construction of a single-family residence on an undeveloped 3.5-acre lot in the city creates an impact on our stormwater management system, a real, physical, quantifiable impact, correct? Does anybody disagree with me on that? I agree with that, certainly. So I ask this question. Which makes more of an impact on the city's stormwater management system? One single-family house on a undeveloped 3.5-acre lot, or 7 single-family houses identical to this first single-family house on the same lot. Sean, which do you think has more of an actual impact, one house or 7 houses on the same lot?
You know, I'm not going to answer that question specifically. What I will say, if I can, Mr. Mayor, you know, essentially this is an impact fee. Impact fee is essentially an exaction, what you're talking about. The state code defines and lays out what the requirements are for the impact fee, which includes this proportionate share analysis, which is included in the impact fee analysis. I would also tell you that impact fees have to be roughly proportionate. They're not exactly apportionate. That's the test. Mm-hmm. We went back, we looked at what was done, how the analysis was done, the methodology. We even looked at alternative options to include this idea and concept of impervious surface. But in the end, in considering all those facts and all those issues and how to apply and administer the impact fee, we felt like, one, that the methodology was fair and appropriate. 2, the consultants who did the work certified that it met the state law and all the tests, and the proportionate share analysis was there, so that was the other item. And beyond trying to incorporate some different methodology that, you know, that wasn't applicable to the original methodology, it just wasn't plausible to do that in a fair and equitable way. And for all those reasons, city staff is recommending that, you know, what's on the agenda tonight and what the ordinance allows is an adjustment, but we don't believe that there's cause to give an adjustment based upon lot size, that's not an unusual factor.
Mm-hmm. To continue, would anybody else like to answer my question? 1 house or 7 houses on the same lot, which has more of an impact on our stormwater management system?
I think under the circumstances, for the sake of understanding, I think because staff usually puts these together, the council usually makes votes and judgments on different things that are recommended, but the staff has brought forward, you know, pretty good arguments overall of why this stands the way it probably should. If there's, I mean, to ask a lot of questions to the council and everything, it may not. Forgive me, I don't mean to interrupt, but just to cut to the chase, am I to assume then that no one is going to proffer an answer to any of my non-rhetorical questions? Well, I think.
Then if so, I'll just continue and not bother to ask any more questions.
Well, we've already established, you know, what the staff has put together for this particular.
Yes, and I believe I have some mitigating information that should weigh on your decision.
Well, but I think to ask us individually, you know, you can.
Okay, like I said, if you're not going to answer, I will just refrain from asking individual questions. Okay. Common sense tells you the greater impact comes from 7 houses. 7 times the excavation, 7 times the hardscape in the form of driveways, walkways, and porches, 7 times the roof area, 7 times the foundation walls that divert runoff water. Now let's look at the fee calculation under these 2 circumstances per the ordinance. For 1 house, it's 3.5 acres times the per acre fee called out by the ordinance, which is $3,526.69, which would be a hypothetical total of $12,343.42, which is very similar to what I was assessed on my building permit. For 7 houses, hypothetically subdivided into half-acre lots, would be a half acre times $3,526.69, which would be $1,763.35, times 7, which is $12,343.45, all of 3 cents more than just 1 house. Rounding to the nearest dollar, it's the same figure. And if you consider that, the total stormwater impact fee under both circumstances is the same. Because the total acreage is the same. So 7 houses create a greater impact, but don't create a greater fee. As such, the ordinance lacks proportionality in this assessment. Congratulations, your ordinance just failed the Dolan test and is therefore unconstitutional. You're now on notice. It should also be noted, parenthetically, it should also be noted that the existing fee calculation formula only encourages commercial developers to build subdivisions with maximum allowable density, thereby spreading the stormwater impact fee among the greatest number of individual units. I don't think that's good for our community. I don't think this council would actually advocate for that. Let's examine a different approach. My wife and I could mitigate this fee by subdividing our lot and sectioning off about a ½ acre of land where we want to build our house. That would introduce 2 imaginary lines to the property that would be recorded on a plot map in a government building somewhere. Doing so would lower our impact fee from approximately $12,600 to about $1,800 or $1,900 or so. That's a very substantial reduction. I want to know, how does the presence of 2 imaginary lines reduce the real, physical, quantifiable impact on the city's stormwater management system? The answer, of course, it doesn't. Which shows that your ordinance doesn't actually take into consideration the true stormwater impact produced by the building project when calculating the fee. Just the lot size where the project is located. In short, lot size cannot be relied upon to correlate to the actual impact of a building project. You might say the fee calculation isn't actually tied to the rational nexus, which relates to the Nolan test. But since we're talking about imaginary lines, why don't we just use our collective imaginations and pretend that I already have subdivided my lot as previously described, thereby saving me the time and expense of actually doing the legwork, and then you can adjust the impact fee on my pending permit application to $1,900 right now. No? Now let's consider the one-time nature of this impact fee. As stated by Susie Becker during her presentation at the December 7th, 2022 council meeting, the stormwater impact fee is a one-time fee, which is affirmed by the language used in the stormwater impact fee analysis dated October 15th, 2022, produced by Zion's Public Finance. And on page 4, under the heading Proportionate Share Analysis and Impact Fee Calculation, it states, quote, the maximum allowable impact fee is $3,526.69 per acre. So let's consider this hypothetical circumstance. My wife and I decide to purchase our approved building permit as currently itemized, and we proceed to build our home. At some future time after this, we decide to subdivide our 3.5 acre lot and sell off 2 acres. The buyer of the 2 acres applies for a residential building permit, which is approved. According to the ordinance, the itemized bill for this permit would include a stormwater impact fee for those 2 acres amounting to $7,053.38. This buyer purchases his building permit and builds his or her house. Then, after some additional time, this owner of the 2 acres decides to subdivide and sell off 1 of those acres. The new buyer applies for a residential building permit, which is approved, and the itemized bill, as stipulated by the ordinance, includes a stormwater impact fee of $3,526.69 for that 1 acre. In this scenario, the city is collecting the impact fee twice for 2 of those acres of my wife and I's original 3.5 acres, and a 3rd time for 1 of those acres. So how many times does the city think it's okay to collect this impact fee for the same land? As you compose your answer in your head, consider State Code 11-36A-401, Impact Fee Enactment. 1B, an impact fee imposed by an impact fee enactment may not exceed the highest fee justified by the impact fee analysis. So if you even collect 1 penny more than the allowable $3,500 per acre, you're in violation of that law. And finally, regarding the 42-acre parcel for sale across the street from our lot in West Haven, if someone buys that parcel and wants to build a house on that, are you really going to charge him a $140,000 impact fee for 1 house on his 42-acre parcel? Is anybody really going to sign their name to that on this council? It's absurd. It should now be clear, be more than clear to all of you here that there are problems with this ordinance. This body is responsible for fixing it, for the good of this community. Please do the right thing and do so by taking action tonight. You can fix this by committing to restructuring the ordinance such that the fee is based on the actual scope of construction rather than lot size, which will require a revised analysis by an outside agency, a qualified outside agency. And until that work is done, you can put a temporary cap on these fees. That way, I can move ahead with my life. The fact is, everyone who has paid this fee since the ordinance was enacted is a potential member of a class action suit against this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that we couldn't put our comments together, but
Can you please state your name?
oh, I'm sorry. I'm Cabrina Allen. I am his wife. And so I, too, am talking about the property at 2845 South, 2700 West. I have my own statement to make. I'm sorry that we couldn't put them together, but it was my mistake. We didn't find out we were on the agenda until Monday. When I looked at it on Friday, I didn't see us on the agenda. I don't know how I missed it. But anyway, so thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm going to focus on the federal government's definition and mitigation recommendations for stormwater runoff management. According to the EPA's website, stormwater is generated from rain and snowmelt that flows over land or impervious surfaces such as paved streets, parking lots, building rooftops, and does not soak into the ground. To mitigate this runoff, the EPA lists several management techniques, one of which is land use control and/or incentives. And under this header is to, quote, limit impervious surfaces and encourage open space. Now, on the EPA site, the picture given to exemplify this is this small open space, and I'm sorry, Councilman Dixon, you may not be able to see it, amongst a sea of concrete. This open space is maybe 15 by 30. This is a fire hydrant, which are about 3 feet tall, so that might give you an idea. This is their open space to help mitigate stormwater runoff. Now, I would like you to compare that to our lot size after our construction. This is the house we're putting it up. This is the open space that is going to be maintained on our property for the foreseeable future. In fact, our property goes further out this way, but it doesn't fit on the page. But all of this will be maintained, no impervious surfaces, all open space. Inherent in our build on our property is that open space of over 3 acres will be maintained as open space for the foreseeable future. According to the city code, for an appeal to this impact fee, we maintain that we do qualify as, quote, an unusual circumstance in special cases, according to this ordinance, by the very fact that we are not developing 3.5 acres, despite that being our lot size. We aren't even developing 1/10 of that. We are building 1 house. In fact, the actual footprint of our house is approximately 1/10 of an acre, about 3% of our lot size. Therefore, the very nature of our project and its surrounding geography disavows the intent of this ordinance. The report, I'm talking about the expert analysis, consistently refers to development and developers. We do not consider ourselves developers, though legally we may qualify since we are building a home. And once our project is completed, I doubt anyone would look at our property and say it looks developed. In fact, they probably wouldn't even assume our whole lot is 1 parcel. They'd probably assume the better part of our lot to be a vacant parcel. I think our development more closely resembles homesteaders. We are putting a single house, granted, a very comfortable one with, yes, multiple bathrooms, as Councilmember Dixon noted last time, but that's a whole other story. We are putting up a single house on what we consider a large parcel of land, which we would like to maintain for as long as we live. We don't blame the council nor city staff for the creation and implementation of this ordinance. You went to the experts to try and fairly and appropriately determine how to maintain the stormwater runoff issue for the city over the next 6 years. Unfortunately, sometimes experts can become so focused on their exact craft that they lose sight of the bigger picture as well as lose sight of common sense. And the bigger picture in this case, and common sense dictates, that lot size does not inherently relate to the need for stormwater runoff infrastructure. In fact, in single-family larger parcels, it is the exact opposite. By maintaining large portions of our respective properties as open spaces, we single-family owners of large parcels are in fact inherently preserving open space and thus mitigating stormwater runoff infrastructure needs, not only of our own hardscapes, but theoretically for surrounding properties as well. In fact, the downslope of 2700 in front of the southeast side of our property, the road downslopes right there, and all of that runoff goes into the lower part of our property, and the lower part of our property absorbs all of that runoff from the street and everything that's coming down it. Since we will not be developing this whole section of our property, in short, upon completion of our project, our lot will continue to do what it has been doing all along, absorbing stormwater. As this great majority of our lot will remain undeveloped open space, our property mitigates and will continue to mitigate stormwater runoff from the street and whatever else is upstream from it. Therefore, the ensured lack of development of our lot size will actually reduce and delay the need for stormwater runoff infrastructure, since there will be no foreseeable subdivision or overdevelopment of our parcel. Now, while we do not blame you, the council, for the current interpretation and implementation of the ordinance, we do hold you responsible as arbiters of the effect of that interpretation and how it disproportionately affects single-family large parcel owners such as ourselves. You have the authority and responsibility to make this ordinance be not only fair, but also constitutionally legal. You have the authority to grant us a waiver on the disproportionate cost of this fee to the proportionate impact our construction will actually have on the stormwater runoff infrastructure needs of the city. While legally you do not have the authority to charge more than what the expert's analysis has determined, you do have the authority to charge less. From our perspective, we see the council having at least two avenues to work with within the current analysis. The first, which we have requested since the beginning, is for the council to consider setting a maximum per unit limit of the fee. If the impact fee was reviewed and structured considering a typical single-family unit on quarter to a third acre parcels, as was discussed by council at the time of the ordinance's original review back in December of 2022, then the upper limit of the impact fee for a single-family unit could be a third or perhaps half an acre for the impact fee per unit. This will allow for the prescribed collection from full-fledged developers to building subdivisions while still protecting the rights of single-family owners on larger parcels. The second option we see readily available to the council, and which we respectfully request the council to avail themselves of this evening so that we can actually start work on our dream for this property of 7 years, would be to allow this appeal process to do what it is meant to do. And that is to consider single-family larger parcel appeals on a case-by-case basis such as ours. Perhaps trying to write into an ordinance every caveat for every unique situation of an impact fee would be too onerous, especially trying to work within the confines of the existing report and its deficiencies from our perspective. But this appeal process should be the relief valve for those citizens who are disproportionately affected by the ordinance. Nobody can predict how many large developments versus single-family larger parcel builds will happen over the next 6 years. So it may be possible that this proposed per unit impact fee limit, or appeal waivers by this city council could negatively affect the city's collection of the necessary amount to keep up with the demand for stormwater runoff infrastructure. But the possibility of inadequate revenue collection cannot be used to justify the implementation and unconstitutional application of an impact fee. Also, since both the expected development needs as well as their cost are both estimated in the expert analysis, there's no way to know now whether or not it will work out over the next 6 years in any case. The city staff do not believe our request for fee reduction meets the standard for a reduction of the fee, as lot size in and of itself would not be construed as an unusual circumstance in special cases. Because all things being equal, soil type, surface type, etc., the bigger the lot, the more stormwater runoff and the greater relative impact. And they are correct. However, this ordinance specifically addresses new construction and development of property and equalizes in its calculation all amounts of construction on a given lot size. We do not have any study showing our lot somehow generates less stormwater runoff than any other nigh vacant lot in West Haven, but we should not need a study to prove common sense. What should be very obvious is that charging the same new construction impact fee for stormwater infrastructure for a 3.5 acre parcel where 7 or more houses and their accompanying hardscapes are being built versus a single house on the same size 3.5 acre parcel, which inherently maintains the majority of the remaining parcel as open space, is disproportionate to the impact of the construction and thus unconstitutional, and even more, to a common sense point, completely unfair. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Does the council have any questions at this point?
I will ask some questions that I asked last time, just to clarify again. So when we collect this stormwater impact fee, is it recorded with the county on the plat that they've paid for all 3.5 acres, and therefore it'll never be collected again if they subdivide?
You know, currently it is not, but we can find an administrative way to do that. And as you suggested, that certainly could be one way, is to record it on the plat so it runs with the title.
I think that would be great. Can I ask Ed some questions?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about stormwater and the impact it has on our system, I envision a rainstorm coming in, and that rainstorm is going to drop an inch of rain in 1 hour. And it doesn't matter if it's raining in the north corner, the south corner, or on the roof of a home, that 1 acre property is going to get the same amount of rain, no matter where it is on the property. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the way I understand the impact fee is to bring the entire parcel into our stormwater system and the future cost that it's going to take to maintain and to ensure that we can collect that water as needed based upon the actual area of the parcel, not so much the dwelling itself. Is that correct?
For impact fees,
Yes.
maybe we should clarify something. When we use the word impact, we have to understand exactly what we're talking about in terms of impact fee. Impact fee looks at what's our existing capacity for stormwater to add new development. Based on projected development, we say we need to spend, in this case, $2.1 million proportionally over the next 6 years to put the infrastructure in to sustain new development. The impact to the system itself as it exists is not regulated by the impact fee. That's regulated under the stormwater utility fee. And stormwater utility fee collects the fees that take for basically operation, maintenance, salaries, anything that has to do with the operations and maintenance of the system as it is today. So the impact, depending how you use the word, I said it last time, stormwater is regulated 3 or 4 different ways, and it does get confusing. I think one of the analogies, and it's not the best analogy, but to make the same argument, everybody pays school taxes. You don't pay more if I have 1 kid, 2 kids, or 10 kids. When we charge for sewer fees, we charge $33 a month. If you have 7 bathrooms, we don't charge you $200. It's the same concept. With regard to the way the impact fee analysis was put together, it was based on developable acres. So the fact, and I'm not speaking to Mr. Allen specifically, but if somebody does not want to develop their parcel to its potential, there's no way for the city to be able to regulate that in the future if somebody did decide to do that. So there has to be assumptions made. So there's assumptions made on the growth. We know how much money we have to put the infrastructure in. That's how it comes up for a fee. Speaking of open space, you can reduce open space if it's permanently restricted. It becomes non-developable. But just because you have 3 acres and you only develop part of it doesn't mean you can't develop the rest of it. So all of these things are all factored into the best way, at least from what our discussion with the finance people is that this has been determined as an equitable way. There's been challenges that apparently have not gone anywhere because if I think city manager summarized it probably the best, if we follow the state law and we meet those objectives, then it's presumed that the impact fee study is valid. Just like there's a presumption of the city council when you pass an ordinance that it's valid until proven otherwise. So, yeah, I guess I'll stop it there.
No, it's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to understand that the land itself, I mean, all the way from the time when we came out on hand carts, right, and we started planting the ground, no one's paid for the storm drain system or the ditches that are currently around all these large parcels, in the undeveloped area.
Correct.
And the city has to create a storm system. And so we make plans for that, and that's where the impact fee analysis comes from.
Correct.
And unfortunately, their parcel right now is now coming to the point where that money would be due as on development. It's not when they purchase the land or whenever else. The 42 acres across the street could sit for 100 years, and they won't have to pay it until the first act of development. And it's unfortunate, but I think the entire area is capable of the same amount of storm water. I'll give an example. So 8 years ago, we had a really hard freeze out here. We had snow on the ground, and it warmed up dramatically in a matter of a day, and all of a sudden it started raining. And the rain wouldn't soak into the ground because the ground was frozen. I had a foot of water in my shop, and all that water collected on my property, and it wouldn't saturate in the ground, and it eventually started going to all the other neighbors. So these are the kind of things I think of when I think of stormwater, is all the possibilities of water and where it has to be collected and what has to be done with it. It's not just the roof line that we need to think about when we think about stormwater impact.
And that's correct. It's not, all things being equal, you can't make the claim that an undeveloped lot does not shed stormwater. We do it, we know it does. There's a lot of factors, like they mentioned also. Can it percolate into the ground? What's the slope? What are the materials? I can have a 7-house subdivision like Mr. Allen was talking about, but if I have a central retention basin which puts all the water into the ground, they are not allowed to be charged an impact fee because they're not having an impact on the infrastructure. And we have to separate impact on the need for future infrastructure versus what is the actual impact that particular day because we had a heavy storm. That has to be smoothed out because you'll never be able to come up with what an average storm is, to be honest, over the next 10 years. So it's anytime rain hits the surface, it's presumed that it can run off onto either the streets or somebody else's property.
I would concur with that.
Yeah, and there's other, all those other variables, but that's not something you'd be able to quantify.
I think that satisfies my questions. Thank you, Ed.
Ed, can I ask a question? In here, in the staff report, it talks about that lot size in and of itself would not be construed to be an unusual circumstance in specific cases. So what are some of those unusual circumstances that would allow the city to possibly consider reducing the impact fee?
I don't know whether, before Ed answers that, I don't know whether or not that's a good path to go down.
Yeah.
Just this specific case does not have any unusual circumstances because it's 3.5 acres.
So if it's not lot size,
There could be any number of things there could just be any number of things that could be unusual, but this particular one is not it, just because it's lot size.
It could be, I'll give it one basic example. Suppose my property is sloped, but I'm not draining to West Haven, I'm draining into Hooper. We can't charge that resident an impact fee for West Haven. That might be a specific, if they had gotten charged by accident or whatever, that would be a circumstance where we say, we don't even discharge the West Haven system, why do we pay an impact fee?
They'd have to have studies, they'd have to provide studies and
Yeah.
probably a geological thing that said, this is where it is flowing.
I guess my next question's for you. Constitutionality of this ordinance has been brought up to the council. What are your thoughts on that as the city attorney?
It is constitutional. There's not been any challenges regarding whether or not that it was passed correctly. It was passed correct, how it was passed and then how it was implemented. There hasn't been any challenges to that. There's not been any challenges to whether or not we used the correct methodology to get to the amount for the impact fee. And those are two of the big things that you need to look at, along with just what our city manager stated, that the experts that we have hired have gone through and done the analysis regarding the proportionality and the reasonableness, and they've put that into that study. That's one of the big reasons why they do the study, why we have that, and why it's required, frankly, so that it is, you can rely on that it is enacted, that the impact fee is enacted correctly.
It's not arbitrary.
That's right. And that it's not capricious, and that's part of the reason why, staff is recommending what they're recommending, is that if you try to, you're going to rely on the study, but then you're going to try to adjust it on things that are arbitrary, that's when you're going to start having those issues, is if you start not relying on your experts as to, hey, we're going to do something else. And also, it was mentioned that you can lower it. You can't charge more than what the experts are saying that you can, But where that really comes in when it says you can charge less, it's at the time that you enact the impact fee. And it's based upon that study and not like circumstances like this of just being, you know, come in and saying, hey, we want it reduced, but not being able to produce the information to show that it's an unusual circumstance, and not showing that, because there's a couple of things. I mean, if you're a state agency, you can, adjust it because of that, like with the school district, that sort of thing. But if you start reducing it for reasons that are not, like back when you pass it, again, you start getting into arbitrary and capricious issues.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that's how, you have to look at how, when it says maximum, it means that you can't charge more because then you'd be collecting more money than you said you needed. So it's a ceiling, and that's the number. It's based on all those assumptions and calculations and everything like that. And I think I explained last time, if you started systematically adjusting fees downward, and you're not going to collect the money that you said you needed for the infrastructure. That's why it's on a similar basis. It's assessed the same way across the board.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so once we collect the fee, we do have a cap on.
It's not necessarily a cap. That's the number, realistically, unless there's a valid reason to change it, but that's the number. We don't say you pay $3,200 per acre this time.
We don't need to charge additional fees
We
in the
can't charge
future.
over the $3,200 per acre. That's what is meant by that in the IFA, and it's not specifically clear. I don't think it's specifically clear, but I think that's to stop again from us to saying, oh well, we were going to charge this person $4,000 an acre, as opposed to $3,000 for whatever reason we decided we wanted to do that. We can't do that. But if we charge them lower, then they're not paying.
I'm mainly concerned with future, fees that would apply to the same property.
You have to, again, look at it as what they call developable acres. Just because you have a 3-acre lot and you develop one does not mean the other 2 acres cannot be developed at some time. Now, whether there should be something administratively, if you do pay for it now, that's a policy decision. And to me, it does make sense. But you can't start and say, don't do it, because then someone can have the counter argument and say, well, somebody paid for it and I don't have to pay for it now.
When do we collect that fee? Is it, say a developer goes in and they buy a 40-acre lot and they're going to put in 75 homes. At what point is that fee collected for stormwater? Is it when they start putting in the sidewalks and all the sewer and all the storm drains, or is it when they pull the permit for the house?
It's at building permit is the collection
Building
point.
permit of the house.
Yeah, unless something's negotiated differently, meaning, like sometimes it's not unusual that they do prepays, or they make a developer might make a system improvement, which is impact fee eligible, but for traditionally in this context, it's at building permit.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions for our engineer? Okay, thank you, Ed. And Mrs. Allen, we have heard from you at this point. We're not gonna, if you're up to argue or, at this point.
Just going to comment on a couple of things that he said very quickly.
I think we've heard from you, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I want to try and, I'm sorry.
No, I have a general question.
Sir?
Are you saying that when you enact any law,
Mr. Allen?
No, when you enact
Mr.
any
Allen.
law that happens to meet
Okay,
this-
if you're going
all
to be
the dictates
disruptive to
of the
this
state,
meeting,
but you
then I'm
find
gonna
that
have to
something is
ask you to
unconstitutional
please
at
step
the
back.
federal level, you don't have any power?
Hey, we were
Give me a
counting
break.
here. Please, we're trying to keep a civil meeting here. Listen, under the circumstances, we have what we have in our ordinance right now. That's where we stand with it, unless the council has a change of heart or mind that they want to move forward with. And that's up to the council to do so. But to argue back and forth on things that are said at the stand up here, you've given us some good information that we could look at. but it's up to the council at this point. So that's where we're at. Does the council have any other questions at this time?
I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Well, we're sitting on the action on the stormwater impact fee adjustment. I'm ready for a motion if someone would like to make a motion on this.
I move that we take no action on the stormwater impact fee adjustment for Lawrence Allen at 2845 South, 2700 West.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further
Can I
discussion?
modify that,
Sounds like
please?
we need to adjust that.
Yeah, if you, what you need to do is either allow the adjustment or deny the adjustment is what I would suggest.
Just be a denial versus.
I will change my motion to deny the adjustment for the stormwater impact fee for Lawrence Allen at 2845 South, 2700 West.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on this? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
and Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries for the no adjustment on that. Appreciate Alan's for coming in and talking to us on that. We'll move on to our next item on here. Item 10 for the bid award for the 2024 street crack seal project. Anybody have any questions or on this particular item? Did we have anything from engineering that wanted to address the council?
Just so the council, and for the record, this is just Department of Public Works annual upkeep maintenance for the roads. It's every year. Scott has a multi-year plan, so certain roads are going to get seal coated over a certain time. The map reflects which roads are going to be sealed under this current contract, and it's pretty straightforward, I think.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council on this?
I'll make a motion to award the bid award for the crack seal project in the amount of $55,397.10 to CKC Operations LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the bid award? Okay, we'll go ahead and do a vote on that one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
This needs to be a roll call.
Okay,
I
we'll
was
do a
gonna
roll
say.
call on this bid. Of course, I missed this one. Right? All right, so we'll do a roll call on that. Let's do Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
and Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, thank you for that, and we appreciate it. All right, motion carries for that, for our crack seal, and they'll get, that's a project they'll be working on coming up here soon, I'm sure. All right, we'll move on to item 11, action on resolution 09-2024, LKL Road Reimbursement Agreement. We have someone that's,
Actually, LKL, a representative was not able to be here tonight. However, because of the amount of information that the council has received in the past, I'm hoping that maybe we can just have the discussion without them. We can, and also, you know, Ed is here, and I've also spoken to Nate at Gardner Engineering regarding the costs that were outlined to upgrade this road that LKL did. Nate actually did review this back in like June of 2022 to see whether or not those costs were reasonable, and yes, they were reasonable back at the time, based upon another project that we were doing at that point. So back in July of 2022, this was brought to you at work session by the former city manager regarding needing to do a proportionate share of the road upgrade. And the road upgrade is from an increase in size from 66 feet to 84 feet because of the Wilson Lane project that we are currently involved with. And LKL has done everything that they're supposed to. They went and built the road. They've paid their impact fees, and they've done everything. Why, I really don't quite understand why this wasn't negotiated with them back after Matt came and talked to you guys in July. I really don't understand it. And I've looked at the emails, and the representation from LKL was that Matt had said, well, we'll just look at it at the end. Fully bears out in the emails that I have seen from Matt to them saying that that's what he, so they're not misrepresenting that at all. But at this time, we really need to look at this reimbursement because they've done everything they're supposed to.
Okay, we've typically, had some policy if they weren't represented that we would table, but it's up to council if you want to continue any discussion with it.
No, we have done that in the past, and I think it's only fair to do that with everybody, not just one-off it.
Is there a delay? Is there any type of delay or concern with?
No, because they have, part of the whole thing was that they had to pay their impact fees to get their, the final inspection and their occupancy, and they've done that, and then they've got their certificate. So putting it to April 3rd is not going to change anything like that. If they were waiting on this particularly, then I'd say yeah, but no, they.
Just wanted to verify that as well. So, yeah, I'm ready for a motion on that.
Would move to table resolution 0920-2024 LKL Road Reimbursement Agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this project? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Call?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries to table this, and we'll get that taken care of in April. Next item on the agenda, item 12, is for action on Resolution 10-2024, agreements between West Haven City and Weber County for transportation funding, 4300 West, 4000 South, and 5100 West and 4000 South. Is that something?
I could speak to it briefly, and if more information is needed, Ed could come and clarify. But essentially, the city applied for, I believe, and received WACOG grant for these two traffic lights, and the amount's considerable as far as their portion compared to ours. I think it's close to $800,000, if I'm remembering right. I don't have the information. And ours is, I think our portion is 2,000, but test.
I think so.
Check me.
The 900,000 a piece for both intersections, and there was a $100,000 match on each. If that makes so total 200,000 to the 1.8.
Thank you.
Super.
I think everybody's in compliance with that at this point. Any questions or concerns with this? Okay, I'm ready for a motion on that one.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 10-2024, agreements between West Haven City and Weber County for transportation funding for 4300 West and 4000 South and 5100 West and 4000 South.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this resolution? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one as well. Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab.
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries for that one. Thank you. All right, and we'll move on to our item 13, motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion about an adjournment? I doubt it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned from this meeting. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate it.